In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 charts that I love to use to help me predict if we are close to a Bitcoin price cycle top. So let's go ahead and dive in, but let's do a quick disclaimer. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in today. So the chart that I want to talk about first is a very simple chart that I'm using on Bitcoin Magazine Pro, and that is called the Bitcoin Active Addresses chart. So what this chart is going to show us is in the black line is going to be the price of Bitcoin, and in the orange line is going to be the active addresses. So we can actually get a definition here. So we have the number of addresses on the Bitcoin blockchain that have either sent or received transactions. So what this is going to tell us is the amount of network activity over time. And how this is actually helpful in potentially predicting if the market is going to top for Bitcoin is essentially showing if this market is essentially overheated versus cooled off. So you can see here, as Bitcoin reached its high here in 2017, the active addresses were sky high, over 1,189,000 addresses. You can see this abnormal spike in address activity. That was a potential indicator that the market was overheated. And then you can see this super sharp drop of active addresses that could have potentially given you an early-ish sign that Bitcoin was topping out. And then the same thing happened over here in November 2021. Actually, it's the first peak. That's May 2021, where the market had very high active addresses and had this very sharp sell-off, potentially noting that the market was at a high. And you can see the current market price. We can see actually Bitcoin addresses decreasing here, which are actually at a very relative low state. So you can see if we just kind of follow this line all the way to the left, we're kind of hitting the same active addresses as the market lows here during COVID, which is really interesting. So we kind of have 2 conclusions here. I think one of them makes the most sense. But even at the bottom of the market, we've been seeing active addresses for Bitcoin start to fall off. So the one thing I could potentially take away for today's prices is that we do not have an overheated amount of address activity just yet. So either the top already happened, which that's way back in 2021, or we are still here low when it comes to our active addresses on the network. All right, so that's my first chart. That's pretty straightforward, and this is on-chain metrics. So showing the actual addresses on the Bitcoin network. The second one is called the MVRV Z-Score, and this is an on-chain metric that I really like, and it's been historically pretty accurate for predicting my market cycle tops for Bitcoin. So we're going to talk about this chart. Let's break it down. So the black line is the price or the market cap of Bitcoin. The realized cap is really the last transaction, the average last transaction in the market versus the price. Typically, if the price is above the realized cap, that means holders are more in profit. If the market cap is below the realized price, that means the market is more in losses. So this orange line here is a Z-score that just gives you basically an oscillator to where if the Z-score is high, that means a lot of people are in profit on the Bitcoin network. And if the Z-score is low, that means people are neutral or at a loss on that Z-score. So here's how you can read this chart. If you just notice the highs here, we have the 2013 high, we have the here's the second 2013 high, then we have the 2017 high, we have the 2021 high. And what's consistent across the board for these highs is the Z-score for the MVRV Z-score, which means market value, realized value, goes above 7.5. It starts to go towards this 8 level. And every time the market has gotten to this 8 level, that has denoted a top with astounding accuracy. And the same thing, if we look down towards the 0 or less than 0, you can see down here the z-score at negative 0.62. Let's look at the bottom here in 2019, or I'm sorry, this is the 2018. It's a little bit below, before 2019, but here's the 2018 bottom. Then we have the 2019 bottom, or sorry, the 2020 COVID bottom. That's at negative 0.2. And so on and so forth. And also we have our recent 2023 bottom, all where the z-score is 0. So where is the current z-score? The current z-score is sitting around 2.5. So technically, according to this chart, we are not very close yet to any sort of high MVRV Z-score. The last time the market was even close to that was our cycle peak here in 2021. So the question is, do we still have a lot more to go for Bitcoin, or has this metric changed over time? So that is the Bitcoin MVRV Z-score. Now, the final chart that I really like, this is actually well known as one of the best predictors and most accurate predictors of a Bitcoin cycle top, and that is called the Pi cycle top indicator. And it's actually really easy to read. So let's go ahead and break this down. So again, in the black, we have the price of Bitcoin going all the way up here to over 100,000. In the yellow line, we have the 111-day moving average. And in the green line, we have the 350-day moving average times 2, okay? And the significance of these moving averages are that if the 111-day moving average crosses back above the 350-day moving average times 2, that is typically the market cycle top. So you can see here, the yellow line, the moment it crosses above the green line here in 2013, that's a market top. Also again, in 2013, when the yellow line crosses the green line, there is a market top. Over here in 2017, it predicted the market top with astounding accuracy. Right here when they crossed, let's say like a few days before the top. And then in 2021, right there. They almost crossed here in 2019. That's not the high though. But in 2021, that was the perfect market cycle top. So astounding accuracy for these moving averages when they cross. And if we look at our current prices, we just zoom in here. Look at this. The yellow line is nowhere close to the green line. So according to this metric, we are not yet close to a cycle top for Bitcoin. So I hope that was helpful, you guys, for today's session. I just wanted to give you 3 simple charts that you can use to start to study to see if we are indeed at a market cycle top when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to historical metrics that have been historically very accurate and very helpful. So hopefully you can use these charts in your own analysis, and I'll be posting the links in the comments so that you can have these links to bookmark as well. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next lesson.